So, my best friend called me on the weekend and was like, Sheridan, I'm over, man. Let's go to Indo. I'm going for a month in July. And although I'd love to go chill out for a week, be warm, because WA's winter is definitely going to be a shock to the system, I am a little worried because if you're new here, let me give you a really quick backstory. My whole health journey started after a Bali trip. So I was 18. I went overseas for a couple of weeks with my mum on a surfing trip and I got Bali Belly. My gut never quite recovered, but I did go back 6 months later with some friends. I got sick again, and this time it hung around. So when I got home, I got glandular fever. I lost my periods. I didn't see them for 7 years after that. I ended up with a lot of gut issues. So I had the initial Bali Belly experience. So just like diarrhea, bloating, uncomfortable, gassiness, nausea, constant nausea, just bloating at everything. Kind of settled down a bit when I got home. It wasn't that chronic diarrhea, but it was that bloating and then the constipation, what we would call IBS now. So the constipation to loose stools, the gassiness, the bloat that gets worse over a day, the fatigue, the nausea still. And then on top of that, I started getting those second and third layer symptoms. So the loss of the periods, the acne, the psoriasis, the fatigue, the not recovering from workouts properly. So it was the flow on effect of the Bali Belly. And really, this is where all my health issues started because I'd always been healthy. I was still eating healthy. I was studying sports science. I was trying to do CrossFit. I was running and trying to train a lot. And I just had these constant gut issues, which obviously made it really, really hard. When I finished my sports science degree, I was going to go into physio. And then I realized I couldn't. I had to heal myself. So then I went and did my master's in nutrition because I was like, nutrition will heal it. Like I'm missing something here. There's a missing piece of the puzzle. Anyway, that didn't heal it either. So then I went on and studied functional diagnostic nutrition. And that's when I actually got some answers because bear in mind, in this experience, like 5, 6, 7 years, no doctors had given me answers. I had done blood tests, MRIs. I had done their stool testing. I'd seen naturopaths, nutritionists. I tried supplements. Literally tried everything under the sun, and I was over it by that point. Came across functional diagnostic nutrition, went down that route and studied that for a year. And that is when everything changed for me. Like, people might think I'm being dramatic, but when I say functional stool testing saved me and changed my life, I am not kidding you. I could not recover from workouts. I was socially isolating myself. I wouldn't go on dates. I didn't want to travel. I was traveling, but I didn't want to travel. I remember being exhausted overseas, trying to eat foods, being chronically constipated all the time, relying on laxatives. It was the most frustrating experience. So, hello, welcome to the Empowered Hormones podcast. I'm your host, Sheridan Decker, and today I want to unpack post-Bali Belly, or what the actual name is called Post-Infectious Gut Dysfunction. And it's really, really wildly under-recognized in conventional medicine because if, say, this is the standard approach, you go to your GP, like you go to Bali, you get Bali Belly, or anything, you get gastro, you go somewhere else overseas, you react to a food, you go out, you get food poisoning, you go to your GP, they run some blood work, they maybe do a stool culture and it comes back clear, or with blasto, like a parasite that they say, hey, don't really need to treat, the infection's gone. But even if the active infection is gone, it doesn't mean your gut has recovered. These are two completely different things. And that's what we're going to chat about today. Because Bali Belly, and I'm just going to use that term, but bear in mind, guys, traveler's diarrhea, gastro, whatever you want to call it, food poisoning locally, same thing. Typically caused by bacteria like E. coli, Campylobacter, Salmonella, or sometimes a parasite like Giardia is like the nastiest of them. a lot of you guys who've done microbiome testing will have had blasto or defrag. That are our two really common ones that we see a lot. They can play into a disrupted microbiome picture, but they're very rarely the root cause of it. So you get this, your gut goes into crisis mode, exactly what I was chatting about. So you get this overseas, it's trying to flush it out. It's the cramping, it's the loose stools, the greasy stools, the nausea. But after that, because that's your immune system doing its thing, right? Like that's what your body's supposed to do. But after that, you get three big things. You get inflammation. So your gut lining gets inflamed, significantly inflamed. And we get this intestinal permeability, which is leaky gut, and often what you guys call it, right? So these cells are inflamed, they're damaged, your gut's classed as leaky. 2, you get microbiome disruption. So all these healthy, like a healthy gut has all these trillions of bacteria, but what's happened is either the antibiotics, which are used to treat a gut infection, or that infection itself has wiped out a lot of these protective bacteria. The balance shifts, the pH changes, opportunistic bacteria moves in, diversity drops. And thirdly, this is like the big one that most people miss, your gut's nervous system gets damaged. So the gut has its own nervous system. It's called the enteric nervous system. It controls motility, and this is the muscular contractions that move food and waste through your intestine. So when harmful bacteria produce toxins, and there's a toxin, I'm going to murder the term of it, psychotethyl distending toxin, CDT, your immune system makes antibodies to fight it. So this is where the post-infections problem comes in, okay? Because those antibodies can cross-react with the protein in your gut called vinculin. Vinculin is critical for gut motility. Your antibodies attack it, right? And your migrating motor complex get damaged. Remember, this is what clears your intestine between meals, your small intestine. So when that's impaired, the bacteria can start migrating up, and this generally is how you develop SIBO, so small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, post-infection. Okay, so it is that damaged migrating motor complex. So what happens now is because you've got an inflamed intestine, your good bacteria is gone, you've got bacteria going where they shouldn't be going, your food starts fermenting in the wrong place, you get the gas, you get the bloating, you get the pain, you get your bowel irregularity, and your doctor is calling it IBS, right? So here's the thing. IBS isn't a diagnosis, it's a description. It just means your bowel's not happy. We don't know what's going on, but things aren't working the way they should right now. And this is when you're given low FODMAP, fiber supplements, laxatives, Movicol, suppositories, whatever it is to try and keep the bowels moving or to stop the diarrhea as well, okay? But it's not addressing the root cause. And I've been through this journey, guys, like multiple times with Bali Belly. And like I said, like when my best friend was like, yes, let's do it. And I was like, absolutely, I'm so keen. And then I sat with it and went, I don't know if I can put myself through that again. Because on top of that, that was the start of my journey. I went 3-4 years ago, and I didn't realize how severely it triggered my acne as well. So psoriasis and acne are very commonly linked, and also perioral dermatitis and eczema, because I see this in a lot of clients as well, are linked to dysbiosis in the gut. The toxins that are released, the inflammation, the balance of low flora for sure, but 9 times out of 10, there is a bacterial overgrowth in there that is causing these skin concerns. So this is why now I'm very strong with testing and not guessing, right? Like in all my clients, even if they're like, Sheridan, it's $400-500 on a stool test. I'm like, I know, but do you know how much you will spend? Do you know how much I have spent on my skin over the years on hormone stuff, on supporting like periods, nervous system work, all that stuff without connecting the dots going, oh yeah, duh, of course, Sheridan, you know better than that. And same with your microbiome, like women are like, but I'm gassy and I'm bloated, I'm constipated. I'm like, I get that and that sucks, but there is a root cause for that. So we can fix that. So what do I actually test? There's 2 tests that I use in clinic that I think every woman in this situation should know about and should definitely do. They were the game changers for me. This is the SIBO breath test and a complete microbiome mapping. Now, I also did the Dutch comprehensive hormone test because I had skin and hormone concerns. I wasn't having my periods. I've also done a lot of blood work over the years, but you have to be specific and targeted with your blood work. So with these 2, the SIBO breath test, it is it is a breath test. You do it at home. The lactulose breath test measures hydrogen and methane gas. So you fast overnight, you drink a lactulose solution, which is a sugar your body can't absorb, but the bacteria can ferment. And then you breathe into a collection tube every 20 minutes for 2 hours. So in the report, we're watching for peaks in the hydrogen and methane gas. Where those peaks occur tell us where the bacteria are sitting, okay? 2 main types. Hydrogen dominant is your loose stools, your urgency, your diarrhea, your methane, or now what we're calling intestinal methanogen overgrowth, so IMO, typically presents as constipation, slow transit, bloating that gets worse throughout the day. So there are 2 classic ones, but honestly, with most people, there is a crossover of these 2. And with the post-infectious picture that I've described earlier, with this impaired migrating motor complex, you really do want to test. Because depending on the type of SIBO is going to depend on how you treat it. What herbs, what time frame, are you using antibiotics, how strict do you need to be with diet, what motility support is required. So that's the first one I want you guys to do. And the second one is now we work mostly with the co-biome microbiome mapping. I have, as I've said in previous episodes, worked with the Nutripath one, which I do in some cases, and the GR360, which I do in some cases as well. But generally, the co-biome, it's really easy to collect, do at home, great turnaround time, and a really nice report to work with. So SIBO breath testing gives us a window into the small intestine. The co-biome gives us the full picture of the large intestine. So it's DNA sequencing. It identifies bacteria, fungi, parasites, other microorganisms at a species level. So not just is something there, and this is what I really want to pull across in the point today. Your GP's tests for like 5 things of like what parasites, a couple bacteria like salmonella, your big ones. It just tells you whether it's there or not. This is going to tell you how much of it is there, but also why. What are the surrounding factors? What's the digestion doing? What's the immune system doing? What's the good bacteria doing? Like, are you missing these key protective bacteria? Your lactobacillus, your bifidobacterium, your Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, things that produce butyrate, which, guys, like we said, there's inflammation, there's leaky gut. We need these good gut flora to produce short-chain fatty acids to protect your gut lining. So it's really important to do both of these to give us a real comprehensive map. Is there overgrowth? What type of overgrowth and where? What's the ratios of the good bacteria, the bad bacteria? Is there digestive dysfunction? Is there immune system things going on? And that is when you can actually build a treatment protocol that's targeted and works. And I cannot stress this enough because it took me 10 years to really heal my gut. And in that first, like, let's say 3-4 years, like I was still studying, I was still working things out. I hadn't come across functional testing yet. I'd done keto, I'd done paleo, I'd done vegan, I'd done vegetarian, I'd done not eating. I did, living off bulletproof coffees when that was a thing, which now I just cringe when I look at what I was eating. And I was like, oh, you silly, silly girl. I was under eating. I was overtraining. I had a lot of gut pain. There was the constipation. There was the skin stuff. Like, there was so many things going on. But when I came across functional testing and I was like, okay, now I can start to create a plan. And to be fair, this is 10 odd years ago, right? Like I was in my early 20s. Gut health wasn't a thing. So there was still trial and error with treatment protocols. And that's the difference here is like you can go and do these tests with, say, a standard naturopath or nutritionist, or you might be able to source them yourself. But are you going to get the results you're after still? Because you're still going to go through that same Band-Aid approach. The treatment or the testing is not what's going to heal you alone. You need multiple data points and you need a 6-month program and you need targeted support. So yes, do you stool? Yes, do you breath? Yes, do you functional blood work? But then what diet do you need? What nervous system support do you need? What's going on with your hormones? What's going on with your lifestyle? That is how we create a targeted protocol. We work through the steps of going, okay, biofilm, okay, remove things, okay, rebuild things, okay, repair things. And that's what no one did for me. A bounce from practitioner to practitioner going, hey, I've had Bali Belly, gave me Epstein-Barr virus, I had glandular fever, now I've got this autoimmune stuff, I don't have periods, got adrenal stuff going on. And you literally bounce from person to person trying to work out what your root cause is so you know where to put your time and energy. You need to pull it all together. Testing is a part of that. Lifestyle history. Have you traveled? Where have you been? Do you live on a farm? Do you camp? All those things that expose you to different parasites, bacteria are really important parts of your healing journey. So if you're cycling through things, totally understandable. We've all been there. It's not fun. You know, you're testing probiotics, you're testing protocols, you're testing diets. I get it. I've been there. But I want to stress this will not work. You need to look at your history, your symptoms, your test results, and map something out that is specific to you and specific to where you traveled, where you've been, when you've had food poisoning, you know, what other things are going on, hormone, vaginally, pregnancy, fertility, whatever it is, and make a treatment plan that makes sense for you. So I hope this is helpful. I still don't know what I'm going to do. I put a poll up on Instagram today being like, guys, do I go or don't I go? I don't know. There is a lot you can do to prep your gut for it. I've done episodes on this and you can really protect yourself over there. You can build up your immune response going there. But all it takes is one bad meal and one bacteria, and I would be back to square one with my skin. I'd have to retest, I'd have to retreat it, and I just don't know if it's worth it for me. So you might be in the same boat. You might have been recently and you're totally fine. I might go and be fine. Like, you don't know. I went to Maldives last year in Mexico and I didn't get sick, but they were also a lot more cleaner, touristy friendly places as well, whereas Bali can just be a boiling pot of everything. So I hope this episode was helpful. Share it with friends, families, people who've had Bali Belly and are like, something hasn't quite been the same since, or who've had gastro, same thing. Walk through kind of the inflammation, the leaky gut, you know, the symptoms you're dealing with, and then start to go, oh yeah, that makes sense for me. I have that stuff. I need to now get to the root cause of what's going on. Feel free to book a gut health planning session with me. The link's in the show notes. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Instagram. Send me a DM if you want to get some more information around this stuff, around testing. It is Sheridan_functional nutrition.